Julie, thanks for coming on. How about you tell us a little bit about your family business and how you're a fourth generation?
My great-grandfather started the company in 1953. What kind of started out mostly as concrete work. Then my grandfather married my great-grandfather's daughter, and then they had my dad. When my dad got involved, we kind of geared more towards excavation, and then they added in underground utility work towards, I'd say, the 90s. And then I got involved in 2015.
Wow.
Now I'm fourth generation, and it's a whole lot of fun.
So did you know that you were always going to kind of go this path? Because like for me, it was like I'm third generation as well too, so I can kind of relate. And like growing up for me, I actually had this conversation with one of our sales guys the other day. He was like, "Yeah, did you always think you wanted to do this?" And for me, since day one, this was it. Was that kind of the same with you, or not at all?
For me, no. So when I was really little, I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. I loved crime shows, and I just thought, like, that's what I want to do. And then when I graduated from high school in 2012, I was going to go to Fayetteville, the University of Arkansas, and I actually enrolled in the ROTC program. I wanted to be a pilot, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. The first semester there, I realized, nope, I want to be home. I miss my family. Like, I love y'all. I need to be with y'all all the time. And then that's really how I decided that was what I wanted to do when I moved to Fayetteville and I got away from everybody.
But you went to college and you got a master's degree in construction management, right? In the University of Arkansas, Little Rock?
Yes. So actually, I went to the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, and I got a bachelor's degree in education first.
Wow.
Yes. So when I graduated high school, it was kind of in the time where everybody was pressuring you. You have to have a degree if you're going to be successful.
Classic.
Yeah. My grandfather said, hey, just go get a degree in something you can fall back on and I'll pay for it. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college. So I decided that's what I was going to do in education. I got up there. I graduated in 3 years. Like I said, I knew I wanted to be home. I was cramming every class that I could cram, taking summer courses. Like, what do I have to do to graduate and get home? Spring break, fall break, anything. I was at home working. We had a big, huge project going on. So I was driving an off-road dump truck for most of the time that I was at Fayetteville.
Like a 735, 740, like a rock truck?
Yeah, we had 2 Terexes and
Nice.
a D250 cat haul truck.
Bouncing around on your time off. I like it.
If I was there, I had the cat truck, and the other guys had to have the Terex trucks. That was the rule.
I like that.
When I graduated in 2015, I came back and started working full-time in the office with my grandfather. And then it was, he would teach me how to do takeoffs and estimates and things like that. And he was like, why don't you go take some construction classes? I instantly had hesitations. I'm like, I'm done with college. I don't want to do that. And then I looked into the program at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, and I really liked the courses that were offered and decided that I was going to enroll and do a non-traditional master's program.
Nice. That's really cool. You said something interesting, and I really wanted to ask you. You're kind of like, my family was kind of like, hey, like, you got to go to college or else you won't be successful. Do you agree with that? Do you think you need, if you had kids or are having kids, are you going to put it in their brains that, you need to go to college to be successful? Because I'm in the same boat. I got young children. I'm having my third soon. And it's like constantly thinking about it in my head, right? I'm like, you don't want to be like the only parent that's telling their kids, it's fine. Like, just work your ass off. You're good. But like, I don't know.
So that's a tricky question because I think it depends on what you want to do in the construction industry. For example, when I look at my 2 children, my daughter's 7 and she's like me, she's a math whiz. And if she wants to work in a family business, no, I don't think she has to. If she wanted to go work for some big wig construction company, they're going to want that college degree. If my son wants to, he already loves equipment. So if he wants to focus on that, no, don't go to college. Just set into work.
I like that. I totally agree with that. It's like you want to be, but even outside of construction too, right? It's like, I think there's a lot of courses, well, especially up here in Canada, that people take that it's like, really? Like, that's a course that you can pay tens of thousands of dollars to take? It's like, I could see lawyer, doctor, teacher, all that stuff. That's for sure. But some of the stuff now is just, crazy, which was interesting. So like, I guess maybe for us, right? Like opportunity, especially with your kids are going to have an opportunity that you had. My kids will have an opportunity. And there's lots of people that are listening right now that are in a family business as well. But what would you recommend, I guess, for, students or, they're in high school and they're about to make the transition into, their life after high school? Do you think that they should be looking at, some college courses to get in construction, or just get out there and start working?
I think get out there and start working. Since you mentioned high school students, this is something that I think other areas in the country besides my hometown should work on. But Bologna High School actually opened up a program called Bologna Pathways Academy, and it is for students that know college is not for them. And when they are in 9th and 10th grade, they go to class just like a normal student would, but they have industry partners, our business, along with a whole lot of other construction companies in the area, and they take field trips to these jobs. They show the kids, here's dirt work, here's utilities.
That's so cool.
It's awesome. And then when they are 11th and 12th grade, they go to school part-time and actually do an internship with businesses. So it's just allowing them to, hey, college isn't for me, but I don't know what's out there.
They need more of that. And like, we do something here called co-op. I don't know if they have something program like that, but like the local high school that I went to, even the co-op teacher that I had, she's still there. And she gives us probably 2 or 3 kids a year, that just come on, and it's non-paid work until they reach the hours, and then we pay them. There's no better way to decide whether you want to be blue collar than actually work in blue collar. And we have a string of employees that have been here since the very start of their working career because they were in co-op with us and carried on that through. So I think programs like that, like the one that you're talking about, are super important. But staying on the topic of like students and stuff, I think it's really interesting because, we're both young for the construction industry. I always find it interesting, especially you being 4th generation. I mean, your business has probably changed, not even just like size or growth or whatever, but I'm talking like culture and dynamic and beliefs and mission statements. I mean, obviously stuff remains core, but is there anything you think that a young, fresher mind, kind of brings to the table that we should be changing, not only for ourselves, but like for the industry as a whole?
I think just something at our age that we bring to the table is just bridging the gap. Our company specifically, we have employees that have been there 5 years to, let's see, Eunice has been there 59 years this year.
No way.
We have an 88-year-old concrete finisher that comes to work every day.
That's awesome. I love that dude. That guy, I'd love to talk to him. He probably is such
He will outwork everybody else, I promise.
Oh, and he's probably first one there.
He is. But it's just bridging that gap, because when you do have so many employees that are more old school, and then you bring in these young employees that are, the GPS and all kinds of stuff, we bridge that gap really well in continuing the company.
I like this conversation because I grew up old school. My father is very old school and my grandfather was very old school. So inherently, I kind of am as well, too. And, what I struggle with is exactly what you just said. And we need more of that. I'd love to know what you're doing to kind of help bridge that gap. But like, I struggle with it as well, just with the new workforce, like, I'll say an example this morning, and hopefully my employees are listening. It's not too often that I go and start off a job site in the morning. But this morning we were stitching job sites. We're about 3 weeks away from Christmas shutdown. So we're doing a bunch of these small projects just to, get us through to that until new ones are firing up. And I said, well, I'll meet you guys out on site this morning. So I knew, okay, like when I was back in the day, my dad, like we would leave home at 6 a.m. to be on site early, and like he'd be like, go grease the machine, do this. So, but I'm like, they take a little bit longer now. So I'm like, okay, I'll leave home at like 6:20 to get to the site at like 6:40. My wife was like, why are you still home right now? Like having a coffee. I'm just like downstairs waiting. I'm like, these guys, I show up at 6:40, no one's there. 6:50, no one's there. 7 o'clock, no one's there. I send a text to my foreman. I said, dude, your boss beating you to the job site, that's not impressive. Like, come on. And then they get there and it's like my father, I could hear him being like, don't hound the guys, because sometimes I can be hard on our guys. But I'm like, I think that's a perfect example of just how I was raised and how it is now. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Obviously, being late is not okay, but it's like there was no urgency or anxiety in them. Like if I woke up like after my father when I was a kid and was at the job site after him, the internal anxiety or freaking out of me being like, holy get my gear on and I'm like 100 mile an hour just to get to the job site. I feel like it's kind of gone. I'm not saying out of everybody, but anyways, that was my long tangent story to basically say, how are you bridging that gap? Like, what do you see in the new generation, and how do we kind of maybe work around that stuff from a Yusuf to the new guys?
I totally agree with you. I mean, we tell our guys time starts at 7, and we have an office in North Little Rock that a lot of employees come out of. Our concrete crew does. But then our excavation and utility projects, they just meet on site. And 7 o'clock, they're pulling in 6:59, running, clock in, or 2 minutes late, and they're just like, I don't care. So yes, I completely see that problem. I just think incentives are the only way to really
Yeah,
work
you're
with a new. If you give them a reason to show up early, they're going to, but if you don't, they're not going to.
Yeah, I totally agree. You need to have incentives for them. And it's hard because you don't want to sit here and like rag on them and say like the next generation isn't, because trust me, we have an awesome crew and our crew is very young and we got some good workers. I just think that I don't know. I just don't. I feel like more than not of the old other generation kind of have a more nonchalant about their job and more of a now I sound like the old guy. More of a self entitlement of like you're lucky to have me versus the other way around when I was going out in Alberta working a pipeline of like I busted my ass to get a job for 4 weeks showing up to this guy's office every day with a double coffee, and I remember him telling me, you got this job, Taylor, based on persistence because you showed up every single day and bugged me to the point. I have job interviews now, Julie, and they walk away and go, all right, well I'll let you know.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? You're going to let me know? How does that work? Do you find that the power, like even during COVID times, I feel like though the power shifted because it was like everybody need laborers. So it was like you needed to make it look like you had this rainbows and ice cream place to work and be like, we give everybody $100 just for showing up every day. And it's like, what the heck?
I completely agree. I think that, yes, we sound like our parents and grandparents.
It's interesting. How is your dynamic being fourth generation? So is it you? Do you have other siblings that are in the business as well?
It's just myself and my twin sister. My family also has a farm, and she chose to focus on the farm, and I do the construction business.
Cattle or cash crop?
Both. We're farming just under 4,000 acres total. And then I want to say she would tell me that we have about 400 mama cows.
Cool.
And then they row crop rice, beans, wheat, and corn.
Nice. That's really cool. So what's it like, I guess, and it's kind of like the other question, but more specifically, what's it like being, because I knew what it was like growing up third generation. I mean, and I'm not even a woman. It was like silver spoon fed, like I had to earn my respect out there and I have, but it took a lot. And I still get those comments at 31. I'm like, dude, I got 3 kids and like I got my own kids now. How can I still be this, entitled, kid? But how do you be, a fourth generation woman, 31 years old, doing construction, telling guys what to do?
I think it just came over time. At first, if I asked somebody to do something, they would call my dad. Hey, Julie's asking for this. And it's like, okay.
Oh, I hate when they undermine you.
Yes. And then now if I ask somebody to do something, I've earned their respect and I've earned their trust. And I think it comes through them realizing that if something's wrong or they need something in the office or just realizing, okay, she is running the show. She's got it.
I like that. Yeah, it's tough dynamic. And when they undermine you, that is the worst. But like you said, it comes down to just kind of your personality and making sure that, you can handle those kind of tough conversations. Do you think that it's hard kind of maintaining, being fourth generation, staying true to your family's legacies? And like I was saying before, like your the core values of the business, but also creating your own path.
I don't really look at work as how can I make a name for Julie with H.W. Tucker. I still look at every day as what can I do to make H.W. Tucker better. And I feel like within that, my name and my path will be there. Our legacy is built on honesty, quality work. My grandfather's still a handshake as good as a contract.
I like that.
And most of our customers we've had for 50 years, and they don't call other people, they call us. We rarely bid work anymore. I mean, I would say less than 10% of our annual work we bid. And that is what my great grandfather and my grandfather have established over so many years. So I just think as long as we stick to our values and quality work, that's really all we can do.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a huge flex. Like that's awesome. That shows a lot about, your business and what you do. What's your favorite part of the business that you do? Is it earth moving, utilities, concrete? What is it?
So I don't get to work out on a job site anymore. When I was out of college, I was able to work on the job site, and it was actually our largest excavation project. We had utilities on the job too, but we brought in about 300,000 yards of material at the Bass Pro in Little Rock, Arkansas, and where the outlet malls are. And I think excavation became my favorite just because of that. Like, it was a swamp. And here I am in an off-road dump truck all summer long. It was in phases, but all summer long, spring break, Christmas break. And I would definitely say excavation is my favorite just because it's completely different from day one to when you're done. And anybody that drives down that street for the next 50 years is not going to have any idea how much work actually went into it.
Yeah, that is cool. And I like driving around and being like, we did that. We did that. That is a really cool, like, pride moment. What's your everyday look like then within the business? Are you overseeing like stuff with like CFO or controller stuff or more project management?
I don't do it all, but I pretty much, there's not one thing that goes through the business that doesn't go through me. I get there 30 minutes before everybody gets there. I say that there's two other people that are there with me, and I handle sending out bids. I don't do the estimating, but I do type out our estimates, get them sent over. I handle all of our contracts and billing. I oversee payroll. I oversee just about everything
You have your finger on the pulse.
that I do.
How do you do all this and manage? I mean, you said that you had kids as well too, and especially being a mom too. Like, how do you manage to do all that and be a mom?
It's a lot. And this past year has really been my most challenging year. I get to work early. So I start at 6:30 and I do get off work at 2. That allows me to go pick my kids up from school
Nice.
and go home, and I have the afternoon with my kids. But I still answer my phone, check emails. I mean, all hours of the day, all hours of the night. So I'm still working, but it is nice that I can leave the office and still be with my family of an afternoon.
How did you come to figure out that work-life balance? And like thinking of just leaving the office is just like, oh man, like good for you for doing that. Cause I'm sure you had to force yourself to do that.
I definitely have to force myself to leave. And there's times where I'm pushing it. I'm 15 minutes late to school. It took me a long time to get to the point that I know it's okay. It can be here tomorrow.
You know, that, yeah. Other business owners listening and hearing that, I mean, you're so right. Like, it's hard because like there's times I get, you'll see an email at 7 or 8 at night and you're like messaging my estimator, my coordinator, being like, I need answers on this now. But it's like, if you have the mindset of like, okay, it could be answered tomorrow. Because there's so many times that my night gets ruined. Like this week, we were doing this change order on this commercial site and this guy was pissing me off. And he's trying to get us to throw in free work. And I'm like, no. And he's like texting me this. And I hate texting this stuff. I'm like, call me. He's like, I can't call you. I'm at home with my kids. And I'm like, stop being a when you're at home with your kids and just call me. But it ruined my night. And my wife was like, just put your phone away. Like, stop responding to him. And I'm like, I can't do it. So like, kudos to you for, I'm not saying that you don't do that, but I'm saying it sounds like you honestly have a way better grasp on the work-life kind of balance than I have managed to find myself.
Yeah. And like I said, it took me a long time to get there. And I'm not saying that when I leave at 2, I'm not done with work. I mean, a lot of our employees are like family. So we do all text. I mean, it may be 9 o'clock at night and plans change for tomorrow. So everybody's texting each other, hey, we're going to do this. But if it can wait, it can wait.
Yeah. It's almost harder to do than say, but I really respect that you can actually do that. I would like to know, what motivates you working in construction? Is it, family legacy, chasing that next big project? Is it growth?
It doesn't motivate me to be a woman in construction. I can say that because I don't look at myself as, oh, I'm a woman in construction. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. What motivates me every day is our employees. I know earlier we discussed that we have an employee that's 88 and he's been with us for 59 years. But in the last 10 years, I have heard so many of our employees talk about what my dad, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather have done for their families over the year. So I just know that they're relying on us. So I need to make sure that I'm doing the best I can so that our employees have everything they can have for their families.
That was a perfect answer.
Cool.
That's what I would have thought of afterwards to say if somebody asked me that. That is awesome. I mean, you're so dedicated for your employees and everything like that. I really like that. That's like the first thing that comes to your mind. I love that. I am interested though. Tell me a little bit about your great grandfather. Like, did you ever get to meet your great grandfather?
So my great grandfather passed away. I was maybe 9 months old. He passed away right before we turned 1 year old. So everything that I know about him is more so stories that I've been told over the years.
I love history and I love construction history. Is there any cool stories, from like when he was getting started up, or do you guys have any like old machinery that he had when he was back in the day? Like, I love that stuff.
We do. The way the business first came about, there was a construction company that had, I guess, a contract for the concrete work at the Air Force Base in Little Rock. And that company went under. So he, I guess, bought out or took over that company. And that's how it turned into H.W. Tucker. And he performed all of the concrete work on the Little Rock Air Force Base.
And this would have been 40s?
Beginning of 50s. That's how we actually got started. Equipment, we do have a very old motor grader that sits at the entrance to our farm.
I knew it. I knew you guys had something in the lawn ornament sitting there. I could just tell.
We do.
I love that. I mean, the history and stuff is so cool and unique. Like, I guess like if I had like some secret hobby, it would be watching on YouTube if I have time to sit there and watch stuff, old construction videos or just like old projects and stuff. And I just love the history. I collect old construction machine. My wife says I'm a hoarder, but like I like old farm tractors and stuff, old farm all and stuff. Like, so I love hearing that. And like fourth generation, like how many years in business has H.W. Tucker been like in business then?
This coming year will be 72.
What's the plan going forward with it? What do you like? Do you want to grow this thing massive? Do you want to stay to what you are?
No. So we have been in a sweet spot for 10, 15 years. And right now we have 49 employees. I don't see us ever bridging that 50 because it's just a whole new ball game when you get to 50 employees. But to have 49 employees, we're still really small. I mean, I just hired one extra helper. So there's only 3 of us in the office.
You do manage 49 people with 3 office staff? Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Low overhead.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Good for you. I have 5 office staff and we have 21 people.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, it just makes me now I'm like, okay, I'm way too top heavy. That's great. Everybody's fired. So you're in a sweet spot. And I was asking about growth. You know, do you want to continue that or stay in that sweet spot and just manage it and just continue to make your business a really good business to work at and be at?
I think we will stay right below 49 employees because if we do bridge that 50 gap, we will have to have more help just because HR, everything is a complete new ballgame once you get to 50 employees. So naturally, more overhead, it's going to take more everything to balance that out. So I think we'll just stay where we're at and just focus on making it the best we can.
Do you guys have like equal parts earth moving, concrete, is concrete like the biggest part of your business?
No. So years ago, concrete was the biggest part. Now excavation and utility work is the majority of what we do. And then concrete, I would say, is maybe 30%.
Now, is that because of lack of work for that? Or is it because maybe, like you mentioned, you really enjoy this other stuff more?
I think it has to do with the size of the projects we pick up. So we can pick up 1 or 2 dirt projects for the whole year. And naturally, the bigger the job, the more money.
Yeah, 100%. So you're on some big mass earth moving projects.
Correct.
So tell me the lineup. Tell me what you got. Like, do you got some scrapers? Do you got dozers, excavators?
We do.
You got rock trucks?
We currently only have 1 haul truck because we moved 2 to the boneyard. We have maybe 3 or 4 motor graders, maybe 7 bulldozers, D3 up to D8. We have a D8N.
Nice.
We have 312, 320, 322, 3 336s, and a 345 Traco.
Nice. You got a lot of iron.
We do. We like to be able to have equipment sitting because you blow a line or something and it takes all day to get it. Just go get on that other machine. That's something that my dad and my grandfather actually really disagree on for a long time because my grandfather sees equipment as assets you don't need. And my dad sees it as no, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to be broke down for a day. And my grandpa's very old school and he got it from my great grandfather. But my grandpa doesn't believe in debt. And he's like, if you can't buy something, you don't need it. It's taken all 3 of us to come up with, we did just buy a brand new excavator. And it's taken all 3 of us to really grasp, okay, are we going to finance this? Because we can leave this money in the bank and draw interest on it for 36 months, 0% interest. Why would you not leave that money in the bank? But my grandpa's like, no debt, pay it off.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's different.
That's awesome. Like, yeah, no, I'm saying crazy. Like, that's crazy for me. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, during COVID, interest rates were low. I mean, we bought, $7 or $8 million worth of machinery, all at 0% or 1.9%. And I'm like, I'll keep my money to float ourselves. Like, up here, we're super seasonal. Are you guys seasonal work? Like, do you shut down in the winter?
We don't shut down in the winter. I mean, naturally, if it rains for 2 weeks straight, yeah, you're done. But no, we don't shut down.
You guys aren't like frosting up -40. Well, that's Celsius. Like I guess like -35 Fahrenheit or anything.
We can't pour concrete, but that's it.
Yeah. See, with us, it's super seasonal. So, like, basically, we have 6 months to make enough revenue to carry ourselves through the winter to sit. There's projects and we have stuff going, but generally up here, it's big. Winter layoff is a big thing. So, like, over leveraging yourself is pretty scary because, and what I mean, we leveraged ourselves hard when the money was good. And it paid off because now we have a bunch of paid off assets, and we went into a bit of I don't know, maybe a slower year, but I'm not sure yet what it's going to be like. But it's just interesting hearing that because I'm in the mindset of my cash is worth more to me to keep and help if it was, bad downtimes or something. Finance it, go. I love that mindset of like, debt's bad. It's just like such a good place to be. Like,
my dad and myself would agree with you that debt is okay.
yeah.
My grandpa, however, he's the one that he says no.
So it must have been a huge deal then for you guys to be like, okay, we're thinking about financing something for 36 months and it's like 500 grand. It's like, what?
Yeah. My dad, he was like, I just signed the biggest purchase order of my life. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's crazy. Yeah. So what's your iron like? So, you're either replacing parts or you're making payments. The difference when work slows up is the parts stop, the payments don't. But downtime with the payments is very little versus when you're replacing parts with older stuff. So do you guys have older stuff or have you been renewing your machinery or?
So we have both. And I think with how much inventory we have as far as equipment goes, it makes sense that some stuff is when we've spent too much money on it. And my dad does really good at keeping up with how much work our mechanics are putting into things. We just take it to the boneyard. I mean, and we get every last thing we can. It'll sit in the boneyard for 20 more years and we may pull this off of it, pull that off of it. But we definitely have probably 50-50 as far as old stuff versus new stuff.
So when you said you took the Terrexes to the boneyard, I thought you meant like you took it to a scrapyard, scrapped it, like you keep them.
Mm-hmm.
What's your boneyard look like?
It's a mess and the mechanics don't want to go there in the summertime. They take like a whole case of wasp spray.
Get ticks.
Oh yeah, it's rough.
Oh man, your boneyard's probably crazy. You probably have some crazy things in there.
There's like some 70 model pickups and everything. We rarely sell anything.
Oh man. There's a company around us that you guys remind me of. I love it. Like that's kind of my thinking as well. Like when I first came into the business 6-7 years ago, we traded in some excavators that were in good condition. We traded them in order to upgrade to bigger, newer ones. And it's crazy how my mindset has changed in 6 months. And I would never do that ever again. Like I will run stuff until it rots, until the floorboard is out of it, other than like a personal pickup or something. But like machinery, I like my nice trucks, but machinery, just run it till it's dead. And I love that mindset. And you guys are like, you'll keep it and just pull parts off. Oh, we need a turbo, or oh, we need this part, or oh, we need this piece, this panel. That's so smart.
I mean, you may have a Traco that the motor blew up, but it has a brand new undercarriage on it. It's got value.
You call an excavator Traco?
Correct.
Okay, so I like that. What other words? Okay, so when I say rock truck, you called that a what?
A haul truck?
A haul truck. Mm-hmm. I guess we use the word haul truck. We call them rock trucks, though.
Okay. What do you call a motor grader?
Yeah, just graders.
Okay, and my grandpa calls them motor patrols.
Really?
That's apparently what they used to call them, was motor patrols.
Okay, and then we say dozer. Like, go hop in that dozer over there. You say dozer?
Dozer, bulldozer, yeah, interchangeably.
What else is there? What about like a triaxle dump truck?
I just call it a dump truck.
Skid steer?
Skid steer.
Loader?
Loader.
Yeah, like you don't say like, oh, it's a wheeled loader or something like that.
No, I just call it a loader.
See, when you say track hoe, though, I would think that you're saying, because down south, and especially you guys will still use, oh man, what track, my grandfather started our business with one. It's a bulldozer, but it's got a backhoe front end on a track. Why can't I think of it? You know what I'm saying?
I do. I can see it.
I don't have the word for it. It's not it's a track. I think that's what we call a track hoe. I can't believe the word's out of my mind right now. I literally talk about buying one all the time. Cat still makes them, but they're not super popular. But they're a bulldozer, but the front end is a bucket and it lifts up. Man, that's going to frustrate me. Do you guys use those? You know what I'm talking about?
We do not, and I really don't know anybody around us that does. So maybe that's why everybody down south calls it a traco.
Maybe. And then do you run scrapers?
We do. We have several different scrapers. Just really depends on the material we're in. If you're in rock, it's not going to do any good.
Do you guys have rock down there?
We do, and it depends on what side of the Arkansas River we're working on.
What side of the Arkansas River? I love that, dude. What? So like one side is this, the other side. See, with us, it's just like no one has a scraper within 500 kilometers of us. I've actually never even seen a scraper being used in my life. I bought an old John Deere 8640 in 80s, and it's to pull sand with a dump wagon at our sand pit. A lot of guys down there, you guys use tractors and quad tracks to pull scrapers. Like, I have a buddy in Indiana that willpower, that's all he uses. And like, it's crazy. Your soil, like, I just always fascinated by it. Like, so is one side just clay? One side's just like whatever?
One side's more sandy, and the other side, it just gets thick. It's like a gumbo and just.
And it rains, it gets all like, oh yeah, crazy. So what are some big projects that you're on right now that you're pretty proud of?
We started a job in Cabot last year, and it's solid rock.
So do you hoe ram? Do you say hoe ram?
We do not. We just say hammer.
Do you know what I mean when I said hoe ram?
Yeah. We do put a hammer on the traco, and we actually made the decision. My dad, it was his idea, and I had doubts at first, but now I'm completely on board. But we actually bought a crusher last year, a used crusher. It was not new.
Sick. What is it? A Power Scream, Klusky?
It's Power Screen.
Chieftain?
Yeah.
1400, 1800?
I honestly do not know.
I love it. I love it.
I'd have to look up what the size is.
I'm so happy to hear you got a Power Screen. I got Power Screen models here. I love Power Screen. I got a Power Screen Warrior 1400 for screening dirt, and I love their Chieftains. Their crushing plants. Great brand. Goodbye.
It's made us money, so that's all you can really ask for. But whenever we're hammering, instead of having to just find somewhere to go with all of it, you're able to reuse your materials. So we're just finding different ways to be green and save money.
That's awesome. So what are you making out of that rock? Like, what kind of rock is it? Bedrock, limestone, granite?
I would say it's more of a lime type stone.
Is your rock gray?
Gray and white.
Really?
And red. There's a lot of clay.
Wow. And then, so you're screening it. Do you know if I asked like what kind of setup you're running on it? Like, are you making 2-inch, 4-inch, 3/4?
That would be my dad. I know they can screen 3 different size materials out of it.
Nice. And you got like conveyors coming off each one, stacking it up into piles. That's so sick. That's a really cool job.
It's just neat to watch. I mean, I could sit there for half a day and just watch them crush.
Breaking that much rock. Like, and are you drilling and blasting any, or just strictly hoe ramming?
We are using a hammer and a ripper on the D8. This is how we're breaking it up and pushing.
You rip the rock with a ripper? Do you go through any of the steel shanks? Like, do those just like pop off?
No, you need to go to our Facebook page and watch a video of them ripping with the 8.
I will right after this.
Nice. But we also crush our concrete. So a lot of the work we do, we tear out concrete. So why not reuse it and crush it?
You can sell it. And I'm sure like I guess you probably, count it as an aggregate internally, but a lot of guys here, like they'll sell crushed concrete, and a lot of guys will use it for a substitute to save some money building a base for a haul road or something like that. It's a great product for that. That's really cool. That sounds like a really cool. Any other cool projects?
We have so many projects. I'm trying to think of something a little different.
I guess you guys don't plow snow or anything like that because you don't get snow.
We get ice. We don't get snow. We get ice.
So do you guys do any winter like kind of management of snow or ice? If it does?
Sometimes the county will reach out and ask us to help plow the roads. We get our grader and plow the roads. We're doing a job in Conway right now that's a little bit different. It's a cold storage facility.
Cool.
And it's huge. It's about 100,000 yard job, but we are digging that shell ourselves. And the haul is literally like 10 minutes down the road, maybe 7 minutes down the road. So the closer the haul, the more trucks are involved. It's been cool just to watch this job really take shape so fast because of all the trucks we have hauling.
How are things looking down in Arkansas? I guess like around and I guess all these jobs that you're saying, like how far away from home base are these?
The majority of our work is within 30 minutes of home base. Now, we do pick up work that's 2 hours, like all around the state of Arkansas, but they'll be, we send a dirt crew up, we put them in a hotel for a couple weeks, and then we send the concrete crew up to do the concrete work. It's nothing that they have to stay out of town for long periods of time.
Dang. So do you actively try to bid work further? Well, I guess you're not really bidding much, but I know you are. Do you try to find stuff a little further away if you're like, the money might be right in this and maybe some other people can't bid on this, so we will, or try to stay local?
No, so we stay local. The only work that we do outside of Central Arkansas is for these contractors that we do all of their work for. And
You'll follow the work with them.
we will. It's mostly apartments, the government assisted living, things like that they pop up everywhere. We go do their work.
And I did a podcast with another guy from Arkansas once. Do you know Trebo? He's on Instagram.
I don't.
Trebo, you don't?
No, I'll have to look him up.
Oh man, he's a riot. He's from Pine Bluff.
I know where Pine Bluff is. Is he like the really funny person?
He's like, hey y'all, he answered questions, and he's always got a chew in his mouth. He's always wearing a cat hat. He's got like he dresses like my grandpa dressed, and that's why I think I love him, is because he always got the collared shirt, the rolled up sleeves half up on his shoulder. And he's like, hey y'all, I'm going to talk to you today about and he just goes on talking about stuff.
I may have seen his stuff.
Bohannon Dirt.
Is he the one that was in front of a truck the other day on social media and one of the
Yes.
tires was slick as could be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I do see his stuff.
Yeah, he's very interesting. And we were talking about the economy and stuff. I'm always here. I mean, it sounds like you guys are super busy, but like, what are things looking like down in Arkansas? And especially, I mean, you guys just had an election and stuff like that. So
We did. So for us, things are looking good. There's always hesitation anytime an election comes up.
I think you're safe.
Trump has a lot of ties to the construction industry, so I really don't see him wanting to do anything to really hurt the construction industry. There's a lot of interstate work in our area, and that's really what we're struggling with the most. Like one of the largest jobs ever bid in Arkansas is right in our back door, and you can't get concrete because highway gets concrete.
That's wild. Yeah, I really think the outlook for you guys is going to be really good. I don't think the outlook for us in Canada is going to be really good, because I think our prime minister just went down there and met with Trump. And I think I saw on Fox News that Trump told him, like, well, if you can't handle my 25% tariffs, then maybe you should just become the 51st state. And like that made news. Have you seen that?
I have not, but that's kind of concerning for y'all.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, dude, our prime minister is so weak. Like, let's go. Anyways, I am excited for you guys, and I think you got a lot of cool things going on with your fourth generation business, Julie. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to see kind of where you guys are headed and what you kind of got going. But to be honest with me, it sounds like you have a lot of really cool things on the go, and I know that you understand that. So I want to thank you for coming on today and being on the Con Expo podcast with us.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, everybody. That is the podcast for today. Make sure to check us out on everywhere that podcasts are hosted. And thank you, Julie, for being on.